Hello, happy Monday. I hope that you're ready to solve a few more radical equations. I'd like to remind you that the whole process is that we need to first get the radical alone, then square both sides of the equation, and then solve for x. So in example 1, you'll see that the radical is already alone. Take a moment and see if you can figure out what to do to get x by itself. Did you get it? We already had the radical alone, so we squared both sides of the equation. Then we needed to subtract 12 from both sides and divide by 4, and that gave us x equals 22. If you need to, take a moment and pause so that you can figure out all the steps. In number 2, we have radicals. There are 2 of them, but they're both alone. So actually, we can just go ahead and square both sides right now. If we square the left, we end up with 3x minus 7. If we square the right, we end up with 2x plus 5, and the great news is that because squaring and square rooting are inverse operations, we don't have any more radicals. Now we have x's on 2 sides of the equation, so I'm going to move the smaller term over to the left, and that gives us x minus 7 equals 5. Add 7 to both sides, and we have x equals 12. And once again, as a little way of double checking our work, you can go back and plug in 12 in place of x and see what happens. Here's what I'm going to do on my calculator. In the calculator, I plugged in the square root of 3x minus 7 and the square root of 2x plus 5, plugging in 12 for x because that's what we found. Now, even though both of these gave us decimals, notice the decimals are exactly the same. So because the decimal values are the same, that means, yes, we do have 2 mathematically equivalent answers. So x equals 12 is correct. Let's move ahead to number 3. In number 3 through 6, you'll see that there are a few more steps because we have more parts to the equation, but our steps still are the same. Get the radical by itself, square both sides, solve for x. So in number 3, we have a negative 8 out in front of the radical. And the negative 8 and the radical are connected by subtraction. So let's get rid of that negative 8 by adding 8 to both sides. What that gives us is negative square root of 3x minus 2 equals 13. Now, if that bothers you, don't call it negative, call it a negative 1 times that radical. Now we can go ahead and get rid of the negative 1 by dividing. Because it's negative 1 times the radical, we better divide by negative 1 to get the radical by itself. That gives us the square root of 3x minus 2 equals negative 13. Stop right there. What do we have? We have the radical equals a negative. We talked about that on Friday. That can't happen. There is no real solution here, because you cannot have a radical equal to a negative number. Stop right there. If you were to keep going, if you didn't notice that, the only way that you would tell that this was no real solution is if you plugged in for x, checked your answer, and found that it didn't work out. So please be on the lookout for radical equals negative and say, no, that's not going to work. How about number 4? Well, we have a 6 out in front of the radical. It's a positive 6, so to make it move, we better subtract 6 from both sides. That gives us negative 4 equals a negative radical. Oh, a negative radical. Oh, no. But again, that's just a negative 1 out front. That's like a negative 1 times the radical. So divide both sides by negative 1. That will give us 4 equals the radical. Well, that's okay. The negative went away. Now we can go back in and square both sides. So 4 squared is 16. The radical squared just gives us the radical, what's under the radical. We can subtract 10 from both sides, and that gives us 6 equals 2x. Divide by 2, and you get x equals 3. Final answer, that should work. You can always go back in and try it in your calculator. Also, if you plug in a 3 up here, 2 times 3 is 6. 6 plus 10 is 16. The square root of 16 is 4, and the last time I checked, 6 minus 4 was equal to 2, so we're good to go. Numbers 5 and 6 are more like that. I'm going to go ahead and show my work, but take a few minutes and try them on your own, please. Please take a moment and check your work for both numbers 5 and 6. You should end up with no real solution in 5 because we ended up with a radical equals negative, and that's not allowed. Again, if we were to go ahead and solve that question, you would get a value for x, but it would be considered an extraneous solution because of the fact that it doesn't work in the original problem. Number 6, you should end up with x equals 18/7. Take the time that you need to look over any work, and let's move on to the next side. All right, on this page, we're going to do a little review of the various different topics we've talked about in Chapter 10 so far. That includes simplifying radicals, rationalizing denominators, and also solving equations. So in number 7, we have two radicals that are being multiplied together. Our best bet is to multiply the outside numbers together. So we've got 7 times 3, which makes 21, and then radical 5 times radical 12, which makes radical 60. It might be that that's the final answer, but we always need to try to make what's under the radical as small as possible. So the square root of 60 can be broken up. If you go ahead and check this out, either by thinking about the factors of 60 or making a list, or even going into your calculator, remember you could always type in y equals 60 divided by x and then look at your table, and that will give you the integer, the integer factors of 60. Anytime you get to a decimal, just skip it. You don't want to look at that because that means that the number did not divide evenly into 60. In this particular case, my table would have 1 times 60, 2 times 30, 3 times 20, 4 times 15, 5 times 12, 6 times 10, and I think that's it. So the question is, what's the best way to break this down? Well, there is definitely one best answer, and that is by looking at 4 and 15. The reason is that 4 is a perfect square, so this will make it easier to go ahead and reduce. So I'm going to rename this. Instead of 21 times the square root of 60, I'm going to call it 21 times the square root of 4 times the square root of 15, having broken down 60 into the factors of 4 and 15. That gives us 21 out front times the square root of 4 is 2 times the square root of 15, which we can't break down any further. 15 is 3 times 5. Neither one of those is a perfect square. That's as good as we can get. So just combine the terms that are out front. 21 times 2 is 42, and our final answer would be 42 times the square root of 15. Now we have only one number out front, one number under the radical, and 15 is considerably smaller than 60. In number 8, we would do the same kind of thing, breaking down radicals, but notice we have subtraction. We cannot just combine these radicals because they do not end the same. Instead, we need to try to break down each one individually and see if once they're simplified, we find a common radical. 200 is really 100 times 2, so I'm going to call that the square root of 100 times the square root of 2, which becomes 10 root 2. Then I have minus 2 root 32. Well, 32 is really 16 times 2, so then that becomes minus 2 times square root of 16 is 4, and then root 2. So I have here a 10 root 2 in the front, and then behind that I have minus 2 times 4, or minus 8 root 2. In some cases, this would be it. This would be all we could do, except that our radicals do in fact match. So now we can just go ahead and subtract the coefficients. 10 minus 8 is 2, and the matching radical, or the ending term there, is a root 2. Keep in mind, you have to make sure for addition and subtraction that you have similar radicals first, whereas for multiplication, you can multiply any radical together with another one, whether they match or not. In number 9, we're going to go ahead and distribute. So we have the square root of 10 times 5 root 2 minus 9. This is really just taking it one step at a time. So we have radical 10 times 5 root 2, and then we have radical 10 times, we have a minus 9, so I'm going to put the minus out in front here, and then the 9 there. All right, taking a look at this. This first part of number 9 is a lot like what we did in number 7. We have multiple radicals there, so go ahead and bring them together. This becomes a 5 out front and a radical 20 underneath. Minus, in terms of how to order this, I would always put the regular number first and the radical after. This could be your final answer, but you have to make sure that your radicals are simplified. Turns out that the square root of 20 is really the square root of 4 times the square root of 5. So I'm going to call this 5 times 2 times the square root of 5, which is 10 root 5. And although 10 does have factors, it has 1 times 10 or 2 times 5. None of those are perfect squares. So I'm going to bring this part down just as it is, and that will be our final answer. We cannot go any further because our radicals don't match. In number 10, we have 2 minus 8 root 5 squared. And keep in mind that when you see this exponent here, that really means write it twice, just like it did back when we were talking about binomials. So we have 2 minus 8 root 5 times 2 minus 8 root 5, and we basically just need to double distribute. So we're going to start with the 2. 2 from the front times the 2 minus 8 root 5 in the back, and then minus 8 root 5 times 2 minus 8 root 5 in the back. Now just go ahead and take it one step at a time. 2 times 2 is 4. 2 times a negative 8 root 5. That's a lot of parts. Just always think sign, then coefficient, then radical. So positive 2 times a negative 8, that makes a negative 16. Then the radical 5 just follows along with it. Moving on, we have negative 8 root 5 times 2. Again, that's a lot of different parts. Sign, outside, inside. We have a negative times a positive, which is negative. 8 times 2, which is 16, and then the radical 5 follows along. And then last times last here, we have negative 8 root 5 times negative 8 root 5. So negative times negative is positive. 8 times 8 is 64. And I love this part. Radical 5 times radical 5 is a regular 5, because the radical is like you have a radical 5 squared. And so the squared cancels out the radical. Okay, let's see if we can tidy this up here. We have a 4. Then we have 2 like terms. They both end with the same radical. So negative 16 and negative 16 makes a negative 32 with a radical 5 at the end. And then plus 64 times 5, you can check that out in your calculator and see what happens. I believe you should get 320. So put that all together and you'll get a 4 and a 320 that are similar, that are like terms. So you get 324 minus 32 times the square root of 5. All right, take a minute and look over those steps. Make sure that they make sense. Feel free to press rewind if you need to go back and look at anything. All right, we're going to finish up these last 2 problems together. In number 11, you see that we have a fraction under the radical. The first step would be to reduce the fraction if you could, but 17 divided by 3 cannot be reduced. So instead, we're going to go ahead and split this up into 2 parts. So we have the square root of 17 on the top divided by the square root of 3 on the bottom. Unfortunately, this isn't our final answer because we're not allowed to have the radical in the denominator. So we need to go ahead and do what we call rationalizing the denominator, which means multiply by exactly what you see in the denominator, that radical. Radical 3 times radical 3 gives you just regular 3. And now our problem with having a radical in the denominator of a fraction has disappeared. The only thing is we can't just go around multiplying things by radical 3 because we feel like it. We have to be fair and do the same thing on the top. Technically, the reason why this works, and you may remember this from back in section 10 too, is that when you multiply by radical 3 over radical 3, that's really just a really fancy way of saying 1. But because it helped us in the bottom, as long as we do the same thing on the top, it's not changing the overall problem to be something different. All right, if we multiply the numbers on the top then, radical 17 times radical 3, multiply 17 times 3 and we get a 51. So then that's radical 51 over 3. We can't do anything else. 51 has factors of 1 and 51, or 3 and 17, and that's it. None of them are perfect square factors. So we are done, and the final answer is okay. Even though there's still a radical in it, at least it's not in the denominator of a fraction. One more to go, and this is like what we did on the other side. Radical by itself. Then square both sides, then get x by itself. So in this case, we're going to divide by 10. That will allow the radical to be by itself. That gives us the square root of x minus 9 equals 2. Step 1, check. Step 2, square both sides. So take radical x minus 9 squared equals 2 squared. That gives us x minus 9 equals 4. Check. Last step, get x by itself. So add 9 on both sides, and you should end up with x equals 13. Over on the side, I have a reminder of what you need to do in order to earn full credit for today. Once you're done, I hope that you can find something fun to do. Maybe go take a walk or bake something, play a game, I hope that you have a great day, and I'll see you tomorrow. Take care.